everybody, this is the first day of SculptGL. You should have this document open, and as you follow along and do what I'm doing in the video, write your response to every answer, and I'll point out what answer it is and let you know. So just pay attention, do whatever I'm doing in the video so that you are kind of seeing how everything works, and then writing your answer in this column. So first of all, we're going to go to SculptGL. And it's going to look like this when you open it up. You'll notice that there's just a sphere, big ball right in the center there, and this grid. And then first thing, let's talk about how to just move around in here. So to rotate the view, you just click and drag. So click anywhere outside of the sphere and drag, and you'll start rotating around it. So that's number one. Number two, to pan, that means move left to right or side to side. I'm going to hold option first, click option first, and then click and drag, and I'm moving side to side. So option, click, that'll pan. To zoom in or out, you just use the scroll wheel on your mouse, so that little rolling button in the center of your mouse. If you scroll it forward, you'll zoom out. If you pull it towards you, you'll zoom in. Next, so there's different ways of seeing the object and seeing it. You can change the camera view to see your object from different viewpoints. And it's much, much easier to do this with the keyboard shortcuts. So let's go over those. Okay, so by default, we see this from the front. To see it from the top, just hit T. Now it's like you're looking directly down at it. To see it from the left side, hit L. To see it from the right side, hit L twice. So I just hit L 2 times to get to the right side. And then to get to the bottom, I just hit T twice. So by repeating it twice, you get to the bottom, okay? To get back to the front, hit F. And then let's say as you're moving around in the program and you might get to a point where it's kind of distorted, you can always reset to the default view by hitting the space bar. That'll put it right directly back front and center to how it looks when you open up the program. So the space bar will do that. Okay, we're on number 9. Let's move, scale, and rotate this sphere. So under here where it says sculpting and painting, go to tool, and then you'll see there's a whole bunch of different options under tool. We want the one that says transform. Transform is going to give us a bunch of options on moving this around. So these arrows are going to move the sphere up, down, left, or right. So those little arrows will move the direction. Okay. You can also scale it. So this outer circle, the circle on the outside, just dragging on this in or out will adjust the scale of the entire object. You can also scale it just in one direction. So these little cubes on this gizmo will scale the object just in one direction. And so there's all kinds of shapes that you can make just with a simple sphere, just by doing this. And then you can also rotate, and it's probably easier to see if I stretch this out a little bit. So now these circles kind of inside here, these will rotate your object. Next question is, how many tools are there? So you can count right here. Let me know how many that you find, but there's all these different tools. Use them. Try them all out. See what they all do. They all do something different. Next, so let's go back to the brush tool. And you'll notice, so by default, you've got this symmetry setting on. Symmetry just means that whatever happens on one side, it'll happen on the other. I'm going to go ahead and just reset this really quick so we have a regular sphere again. It's easier to see the symmetry here. So that will reflect your mark. This is super helpful with faces, lots of anything that's symmetrical, like a face or a body. Now this red circle, you can see that's the size of the brush or the radius of the brush. If I hold down X and drag, it will increase or decrease the size. So super helpful to have that there for you. So just again, holding down X, that will adjust the size of your brush. And then the negative setting, so most of these tools will also have a negative setting over here. And so you can either click this, and I'll show you what it does. It basically does the opposite of what the brush does. So by default, this brush tool will add on to the object. When negative is selected, it carves into it. And so many of the other brushes have this negative setting as well, and it's cutting into it instead of adding onto it. And you can also access this negative setting by just holding Option. So if you don't want to go over here and click it, just hold Option, drag, that'll reverse it. If negative is selected and you hold Option, it will just do the default setting. So basically, holding Option will toggle or alternate between the brush being positive or being negative. Oh, right, we're on number 13. We're going to add an object into the scene. We're going to duplicate it, and then I'll show you how to delete objects. So you start off with a sphere. You can also add other shapes into the scene. So I've got these kind of eye cavities. I'm going to add some eyes to this character. So I'm going to go to Scene, Add Sphere. I'm going to hit E to transform this, and we're going to scale this down to make it about the size of an eye. Okay. And now I'm going to duplicate it. So back up here where it says Scene, I'm going to copy selection. I've still got transform on here. And then now basically I've got these other spheres in my scene. So you would just then position these. I paused the video so you didn't have to see me struggle with that, but here I've got the eyes positioned. And again, that was just under scene. You can copy your selection there. You can add different objects into the scene here. So underneath the scene, add a cube, cylinder, torus, or sphere. And then you might need to delete something. So I made this extra sphere. I don't need it now. And so again, that's under scene. To delete something, you just go up to scene, delete selection, boom, it's gone. Okay. Now this is going to come up, especially for 3D printing. You're going to need to do this. Right now, these are separate objects. I can still move them around. When you do get everything where you know you want it to be, we are going to have to join all the objects together. The 3D printer won't react. We need to do this before it's 3D printed. So to do that, to join things together, we're going to use an option over here under topology where it says remesh. And I'll show you what to do. The default settings should work pretty good for this for the time being, but basically you're going to click, and what we're going to do is we're going to combine the eyes and the head together into all one mesh. So I clicked on the eye, I'm going to hold shift and select this, and then I'm going to shift and select that. So all of those are selected, and then I'm just going to hit remesh. And it might take a minute, but now if I zoom in, you can see that this kind of filled in a little bit, and now it's all one object. So if I move this around now, and basically it like kind of joined everything together, and it deleted all of the parts that would be intersecting inside of this. But yeah, that's remesh. The default settings should work fine for you, hopefully. And next, we'll talk about saving and exporting and opening up a saved project. So when you go to save your work at the end of the day, just hit Save SGL. That's a SculptGL file. Okay, so just click on that. It's going to call it your mesh, and then there'll be a number after it. You just have to pay attention to which one you're working with and what that number says, depending on the day. So you can rename it, but you just kind of have to remember what it was and just save them all to the same spot. You should be able to see by the date on the file which one it is, but it's not the best system, but this is what it does. And then When we are all done modeling and you're ready to turn in your work, you're going to save it as an STL. STL files are specifically for 3D printing. So that'll be at the very end when you're all done. Just save it that way, okay? And then, so I just saved my work there, and let's open it up again. So let's say the class is over, you saved your work, it's the next day, and you want to open up what you did last time. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this, delete selection, and then let's go file. We're going to add in the file that I just saved, which was number 6. Okay, so there it is, what I just saved, and you just have to do it that way. So that's it. Okay, so get all those answers in, respond, fill out all of these steps here, and we'll move on to the next part tomorrow.